session did. 500 mellow buckets, feel the razor ruckus, line the moonshine still. As the last few drops fall into his jar, holding up the habits of the sun.
Right. Welcome to Acute Mania Live. Fletcher's Grove there at the beginning. Gosh, I love listening to them. This is episode 39, which is not a milestone or anything special. But what is special is we have John Cranford with us from Hilton Head Island right now. And
what's up, man?
Well, what's going on? We'll chat with him in a little bit. I picked up another show today because I had a band coming down. 320 McLean was supposed to come down the 18th. One of the guitar players couldn't make it, so we rescheduled it for. Can't even remember writing. The second, July 2nd. So that's a Friday. So they'll be here for that. But the show, I picked up another show for that week because Shenandoah he's going to be at the end of the week for his album release on Fridays. But I like doing the show so much that I decided to go ahead and book one. But a band called Ire out of Pittsburgh. They're a metal band. They're going to be on Zoom on Tuesday the 22nd. But next week, I guess that would be 2 weeks from now. So next week, the 15th, Atticus Finch from New York will be on. I'm excited about that one. That was going to be fun. They do like kind of like pop punk. I'll play one of their songs at the end of the episode. But they're really good. They've been together for about a little over a decade, and they write their last album. They wrote the entire thing separate from each other since it was a pandemic and stuff. So and it's a really good album. I mean, it's just amazing how they did all that separate like that. So anyway, let's see what. I talked to a couple bands in Brazil today. Probably come on sometime around July, middle of July sometime. Let's see. Gator Shakes has a show. They were on here a few months ago from Pittsburgh. They'll be on. They're playing a show up in Washington on the 26th, and I might go up to that. I don't know. It's not very far from here. And then the Curses guys. They were on a few months ago. That's all I can say, unless I look at my own calendar, my events. But they were on the show. But they'll be playing down in Princeton, and I'm definitely going down to that one. It's a house party. I haven't done a house party since I was in college, so I'm going to experience that again. So without further ado, Mr. Cranford, can I call you Mr. Cranford, or does that make you feel old?
I am old, or at least I feel old.
How you doing? Welcome to the show.
Good. Hey, thanks for having me, Scott. I appreciate it, and cool to be on. Always cool to talk to new people and talk shop, chew the fat.
Yeah, talk music. That's what I love doing.
I love it.
But yeah, I was I kind of knew of you down in Hilton Head, bouncing around down there, and of course I knew all the GTA guys, even Corey that's not even down there anymore. And you would be in and out of there. I don't think I ever did talk. I think I maybe met you once, maybe. I don't know. It's hard to tell. But and then the native guys, Zach and was it Ben?
Ben, yep.
Yeah, that might have been where I met you because they were playing like a gig at the Triangle, for the whole Triangle, and I don't know.
I was at Ben Huey's house today recording some.
I haven't seen him for a while.
He's doing good, man. He's got some really good, cool new music that's more ambient, sort of synthesizer based stuff.
Nice.
Really, really cool, really chill, relaxing.
Native is not together. It's not.
They played actually. Here's a funny statistic. So I'm involved in this theater down here called the Coligny Theater, and we do all kinds of events and musics. And I think Native played the first indoor rock and roll show in America in all after COVID. I think it was the first indoor show. And I searched Ticketmaster and stuff, but they played September 12th indoors. 2020. Yeah, so that was we were kind of able to open up the 1st of September, and that was like our first official back opening. So that was really cool. And I love those dudes, and it's such a neat process to be buds with some dudes that I get to kind of see like grow up. We've known those guys since they're still in high school.
The 420 show that GTA did with their release, that's when I met them, when they got up and played.
Yep.
Gosh, I think they were still in high school or just got out of high school or something. They were young, so
they're young and super talented dudes, but they're all wise beyond their years.
Did I see on I guess it was the South Ender? Is that the show that
yeah.
Did I see that Zach's also a comedian?
Yeah, he's been doing some stand-up, and my buddy Matt Stock was featured at the last comedians show that we had at the theater, but Zach kind of stole the show. He wasn't the featured guy, but he is funny, and he's an interesting cat. His background and his family and the way he explains some things. He just does a really good job, and it's all honest, and it's not super dirty or raunchy or anything.
I guess some people have to do that to make their show. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a really good, honest truth, and there's nothing funnier than the truth.
I have to get him on. I have a my buddy Nashville Dale that everybody knows that I was telling you about. He's been going to some comedy shows down there of buddies of his, and he's like, "Would you have him on?" I say, "Yes." Creative artists, just anything creative would be terrific. I was talking to the band last time, and I was, what if I had a painter come over, and be on the show? What would I do? Just sit here and put like symphony music on and watch them paint on the? I mean, what? But I don't want to exclude them. You know what I mean? Like if somebody was, I don't know anybody that paints, but other than like Bob Ross or something, But I don't
we do stuff with people down here. We do stuff with artists. We talk about process. I have this thing called the South Ender, and it's really just sort of like a promotional tool for the art scene on the South End of Hilton Head. And I live in Hilton Head Island, South Carolina. And for the people that are watching, if you're not familiar with Hilton Head, it's a beautiful place, but it's more familiarized with kind of golf and the beach and
tennis, a lot of tennis.
Tourism and tennis, these sort of things. But there is a really thriving, I would put our music scene up against Nashville, up against New York. Now, I'm not saying we have the number of venues or the number of good venues.
Well, the island's only 10 miles long, right?
Yeah, it's about 13 miles long, 12, 13 miles long. And there's like 350 bars and restaurants. There's probably more. There's closer to like 400 bars and restaurants.
If you can't find something you like to eat down there, then I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, there's everything. And, it's always been a music town, and it's really turned into a music town. And every little restaurant, bar, big or small, everybody has live music. And it's like, it's like a staple of, every restaurant, every night at 5 o'clock, somebody's playing.
Yeah. If there's no music or a DJ at least, or a karaoke or something going on, then somebody cancels, but they usually, if somebody cancels, they find somebody.
There's somebody else. Yeah. And it's crazy. So part of this, I guess what I was getting at, this South Ender thing was, there's lots of local magazines down here and different press outlets, but obviously the focus has been tourism or golf or things of this nature. And some of the magazines do a good job at promoting the local scene, but nobody was exclusively trying to pinpoint what the cool thing that was happening was. And I guess that's what we're trying to do at the South Ender. We're just trying to figure out who's doing something worth talking about.
Kind of bridge the gap.
And especially in the arts culture. So, I mean, there's a great artists cooperative down here. There's great markets and events for artists, both musicians and painters and photographers and drawers and sculptors and all this stuff. It's very, very cool. So we're lucky. We're a small town, but we have a really, really thriving art scene. And the best part is like, most of us are getting paid to do it, which is crazy.
Yeah, good money too.
That people are making their livings down here, paying their mortgages, paying their rent, paying their bills, just playing music or just painting or just doing photography. And there's a lot of people on that list.
A lot of musician friends that I talk to up here, when I tell them that, you can make good money down there. A lot of them, they don't have kids, they're not in a relationship. They're just trying to find their spot, somewhere to go play their music. I'm like, go to Hilton Head. It's like, you can make a living, you can pay your rent and everything and be comfortable playing music all year round. Really. I mean, if you're that good, I guess. But even, I don't know.
Yeah, and even during the last year with COVID and the shutdowns and things, because we were able to be outside,
Yeah,
I felt like, we all said, last summer when we were playing and last spring, and, holy smokes. And we did shut down. We did have a hard shutdown. And I think it was about 6 weeks that nothing really happened. But we were just,
my goodness, with 350 restaurants.
yeah.
Was
Well, they did
okay?
a lot of cool programs too, and they were helping feed people.
Yeah.
And obviously they had a lot of employees to take care of. One of the restaurants, one of the big clubs here, and I don't know if I'm supposed to say this or not say this, so I'm just going to leave them anonymous. But something I thought was really cool was one of the better venues here paid all their musicians their weekly rate during the shutdown.
Wow.
They didn't have to,
and that's tough too, because they probably weren't bringing in anything, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's, there was nothing. They were closed. Everybody was closed. And then, really by July, things got back sort of rocking and rolling.
We were there in January. I mean, there wasn't even music here yet. There was no open mics. There was no karaoke. They wouldn't even let, I mean, you could have a DJ, but you couldn't have a dance floor. I mean, what's the point of that? But, when we were there in January, was it Corks over in Bluffton? We went there for open mic, and we were the only ones that walked in with masks on. I'm not saying that. I mean, maybe it wasn't. I didn't see what the laws were or anything, but I mean, the bartenders did and everything, and it was people were, other than Nate coming up and hugging me, everybody was kind of distance, So, but it seemed like you guys kind of. I think Florida started it, right, and then it just kind of went up the coast.
Yeah,
as far as opening up.
Yeah, I mean, there's. It's funny, being a dude from northern Wisconsin that now lives in South Carolina.
Yeah.
There's things about the South that I love, and there's things about the South that I don't like so much.
What, the brutal weather, even at night? 95 degrees at night, I can't stand it.
Yeah, that's definitely on the list. So yeah, I mean, it was cool to be. We felt very privileged. We felt very fortunate that because of the state we live in, we were able to open up. That has to do with the weather. Some of it has to do with politics, so on and so forth. But we're just very lucky. And the biggest thing, keep the businesses open. That was important.
Yeah.
And making sure that all the people that pay us and hire us to play, that they were able to stay open. And we did, a couple people did have to shut their doors. But for the most part, we stayed rocking and rolling. So we're super fortunate here in Hilton Head. If you guys know nothing about Hilton Head, it's a cool place with a lot of music, a lot of really good music.
And if you're driving down there, you can miss it. It's easily missable.
It's one
my
exit
GPS
off
still takes me.
95.
Was it 462? When I'm coming down 95, it wants me to get off on 462, which it's not a bad road, but if you're trying to get there, you don't want to go that way. But
yeah,
it's only 20 miles to get to the next one. I don't know. Hey, let's I was when I ask people to come on, I always ask for a brief bio. That way I get a little bit about you, but the rest I can ask you on the show. And I was looking at your Facebook page, and of course you had a bio on there. And then I went in. I think I Googled you too, just to see if there was some extra stuff, and that there was some Hilton Head Monthly stuff on there, and something that you wrote on the road, which was awesome. That was a good read, from like 2016. I mean, it was a while back, but so I know you as from being in Cranford Hollow. Is Cranford Hollow still? Are you guys still rocking, or how's?
Yeah, man.
You have one coming out, a solo, right?
Yeah, I've been working on some stuff independently and with a couple other projects, but Cranford Hollow still exists. Our drummer moved to Tallahassee, and I say our drummer now I think we've decided like, hey, this is the band, this is the lineup. We went through literally 12 drummers, maybe 13 drummers in the 10 years we were on the road. And this one particular guy kept coming back. You know, he'd leave for a while and then he'd come back, and we'd do a tour with him. And then he'd say, okay, well, I didn't like that, so I'm not going to tour for a while. And then he'd come back, and he kind of always was welcome back. And his name's Randy Rockalata. And Randy's
That's an
just
awesome name to be in a band, though.
Yeah, and he's got a mohawk, or he used to have a big mohawk, and he was in this great band from Ohio, from Florida, but they're Ohio transplants, called Spider Monkey in the mid 90s. And they really had some critical acclaim, but I mean they're a heavy rocking band. And Randy is just damn near one of the nicest guys on the planet, and bar none one of the best drummers I've ever played with. And we tried to sub out all these other drummers, and then there got to kind of a point where I wasn't very happy being on the road and touring and traveling, and so the boys, and we just kind of called it quits for a while, and took a little hiatus, and I did some other stuff, and there is some rotating cast of Cranford Hollow, but now like the core original 4 members, that's it. That's Cranford Hollow. We're only going to play as that band, or sometimes maybe we have like a lead guitar guy or something. But
now, I noticed
for
there
the
was
most part,
Cranford and
that's the band.
Sons. What's Cranford and is that?
It's basically the same name.
With just
Cranford and Sons happened out of circumstance prior to like the Mumford and Sons explosion, just as like kind of a Sanford and Sons reference, because Phil Sermon's the original bass player of Cranford and Sons and Cranford Hollow. Him and I are like pack rats, we have like so much shit,
just stuff,
and so we go to these shows, and like I'm not saying like $1 million nice equipment, like old crappy speakers and all this light rigging and all this stuff. So the bar owners used to give us a hard time. They're like, you guys are like Sanford and Sons, moving garbage, moving crap into our bars, all our crappy old stuff. And so that's where the name came from. It's kind of like an homage to Sanford and Sons. And we had this kind of like all this stuff we were bringing around all the time. And then so after the Mumford and Sons thing happened, we were like, okay, this is weird. People think we're like a Mumford and Sons tribute band, which we're definitely not. And I like those guys. It had nothing to do with them, or it wasn't but it was just, hey, let's do something else. And actually, Cranford Hollow was like a fan pick. We just asked our fan base on Facebook, hey, keep I guess we're keeping Cranford, but come up with something else. And so there's all kinds of different something or other, and that was kind of the end gist, was like, oh, that sounds cool, Cranford Hollow, we'll keep that.
When I first, after I asked you to be on, and you're like, yeah, let's set a date, I was like, what if we're gonna have to talk about cheese? I'm sure you get that a lot, but I mean that's before I read it, before I knew. I mean, you got a lot going on. We'll talk about the theater here in a little while, but can we talk about cheese?
Yeah, we can talk about cheese.
Well, you're from is it Eau Claire? Is that how you say it?
Oh, it's Eau Claire.
Eau Claire.
It means clear water. And
Clearwater, Wisconsin. Got it.
It was a lumber town. Late 1800s.
Is that north, like Green Bay-ish?
I'm kind of on the other side of the state. So like if you find Minneapolis and you kind of go due east, about an hour and 15-20 minutes on the map, we're right there where like the little section of Wisconsin kind of bumps over into Minnesota. And then we're about 2 hours from the North Shore, from some Superior and Duluth, and maybe about 4.5, 5 from Canadian border. So it's up there.
Did you have you ever played
beautiful.
Have you ever played in Canada at all?
I've never played in Canada. No, I wish we could have played in Canada. It just never happened. We played in Duluth, Minnesota. So that's like basically, that's almost Canada.
What about Fargo? Fargo's a big deal, I guess, with the movie.
Fargo's a cool town. We never played North Dakota. I think we played in South Dakota, maybe.
I had a buddy of mine that went to University of North Dakota and got his doctorate in trumpet performance.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd want to be in North Dakota though. it's pretty destitute out there. And there's pretty spots, but I mean, it's flat and
Well, I
kinda,
guess you had to there when you go to your classes and stuff on campus. It's underground, like enclosed, because
yeah, that's how
lose it if you go
University of Minnesota Duluth is. It's like all indoors.
Yeah, I
Uh,
couldn't live like that. That's depressing. I hate the wintertime up here. Even
it was,
wintertime.
it was cool as long as you could get out in it. I got lucky in college. A bunch of us from, growing up together all ended up in Duluth, Minnesota. And a lot of the dudes I was running with were very active, outdoorsy kind of guys that like to cross country ski or snowshoe or hike or ice climb or snowmobile or all this stuff. Yeah, I love snowmobiling, man. I got like my learner's permit when I was like 11 and a half.
On the beach in Hilton Head, right?
Yeah, I mean, you got
the same concept, I guess.
It would probably be like bad for the motor or something, and probably get a bunch of sand in there.
Try it.
But I still go up and I like try to snowmobile, and I got some really cool winter hiking in this year. I was up there for about 5 weeks in January, and I like that cold. I like that snow. As long as, like I say, you can get out into it, you can kind of be a part of it. But I wouldn't want to be in a city in the winter. There's like, I have no desire to do that.
Well, like here, I don't mind the snow either. But if when it's 15 degrees and not snowing or anything, it's just cold. I hate that. It just doesn't feel right to me. I don't like it. But I was before we went live, I was telling you about being down there in January, and it wasn't cold, but it was chilly. It was probably 50 something. I don't know. But it was about overcast about every day, so it wasn't Hilton Head for me. But like the last day, it was like 70, but we had to leave, and I was like, but so we went to the outlets on the way out of town.
Classic, hitting those outlets.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I mean, growing up there, it was a small town, and I was super lucky that we had a great music program in my middle school, in my high school. We had a award-winning one of the top high school jazz ensembles in the country. I never got to be in the top band, but I was like in the number 2 band.
You're in the bottom.
And all my buddies were in the number 1 band. I'm not that great of a musician per se.
What did you play? What did you play in school?
I played upright bass, and I also played the baritone saxophone, and I played some xylophone.
I played the trombone.
Yeah, man. It was fun, and sometimes the band kids get like a bad rap, being the nerdy kids, but
coolest kids ever.
in my high school, it was like, if you were cool, you were in band, or you were in some kind of arts,
and lifelong friends also,
Yeah, man. And there's cats that I still get to play with once in a while that, we played together. One of my best buds, Dan Westone, he's out of Durham, North Carolina, but him and I have been playing forever, and he came down couple months ago with his band in my theater, but he's a good Wisconsin boy too. He likes cheese and beer and that whole scene.
Bratwurst, right?
I just bought some brats, man. I've been hungry since
it got brats or brat?
Brats. We also have this thing called a hot beef.
Hot beef,
which is like really thinly sliced, better cut of meat, prime rib or fillet or something. And you slice it very thin, and then you kind of slow cook it in a slow cooker in like brown gravy.
That sounds terrific.
So it's like a roast beef, but it's just wet and soggy. And there's this bar that's been in Eau Claire for, I don't know, 70 years called Ray's Place. It's right across the street from the hockey rink. And no joke, they serve this thing on a just a white roll, a white bun on a piece of deli paper on a napkin, and they just kind of slide it across the bar. And then you got to take a horseradish hot mustard, and you lather that sucker up, and man, that lights you up, especially if wintertime up there, you get a cold, you get a nasal thing, you got to go to Ray's and have a hot beef and an ice cold Leinenkugel's original, none of this shandy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
None of this foofiness, but the ice cold Liney's original off the draft.
Are you a craft beer person?
No, I am a connoisseur of shitty beers, and the shittiest beer
like the
I can
highlights
get here is Highlight.
yeah. There you go.
So I have a fridge of Rolling Rock and High
Nice.
Life. And for those watching their caloric intake, I got some Bush Latte.
Latte.
So
No, I saw
yeah,
that
man,
hat.
I
I
like
saw that hat.
I like
that hat
shitty
on.
beer. I like hams.
Is that the hat
love-
that looks like the High Life logo on the front? It was, yeah.
Oh,
the
this
one?
hat is
Yeah.
made in the
Yeah.
Midwest.
Well, maybe it's not the High Life logo. I thought it.
It's kind of like the PBR tag or something.
Yeah, I knew it was something.
But yeah, I love shitty beer, man, and that I don't know if that's like a nostalgia thing.
Sure it is.
My granddad drank Old Style, and I remember as a kid like sneaking an Old Style once in a while and just being
Like
like,
an old
"Ooh, this-"
Milwaukee.
Yeah. Basically, it's an old Milwaukee, or it's
Yeah.
very similar to kind of between an old Milwaukee and a PBR.
I just can't get into
And-
that craft beer scene. It's just for one thing, it
Nah.
tastes nasty. It just doesn't taste. It smells bad. Like I had a buddy that we don't hang out much anymore, but he drinks it all the time, and you know when we go to a show or something, you know you got to talk next to each other so you can hear. His breath would always smell like crap because it was craft beer. You just
Hops, man.
Ugh. I mean, I can drink the dark stuff sometimes, not a lot of it, but because it's okay. It tastes like coffee, and I like coffee, but you know, it's it just stinks. I think it stinks. You know,
I think it's kind of and I have maybe a more Midwest sensibility about things, but if it's not broken, don't fuck with it. I don't know if I
Yeah.
can say that on here.
No,
I'm sorry.
It's Facebook. You're good. Yeah.
But don't mess with something that doesn't need any fixing or alterations. And I think the classic lager beer is one of my favorites. Whether it's High Life or Old Style or Old Milwaukee or Hams or Liney's O, like just regular beer. Beer is good.
I'm a Pilsner guy too, you know, but when you drink one of the craft ones, it still tastes like crap. It's still it's bitter. I don't know what it's the hops or I don't know how that stuff works, but it's just, why, like you're saying, why mess with it? Budweiser seems to be doing just fine. They're still selling it. You don't need to make anything, I don't know. That's a whole nother podcast, I guess.
I do like breweries though, or like that was a place on the road. We played quite a bit, it was like different breweries. Pisca. Yeah, it's cooler crowd, and it's like kind of its own little scene. We used to play Pisca a lot, Pisca Brewing up in Black Mountain, North Carolina. And I got to play some cool places out west, like Vale Brewing, Taos Mesa Brewing Company
Vail,
in
like
Taos,
Colorado?
New Mexico. Yeah, like really neat brewery scenes out there. And, of course, they had the hoppy, super crafty stuff, but they always seem to have like a regular lager, a regular guy beer. And but just a neat scene that they would always have like a couple of food trucks and the beer and the bands, and usually like the stage or the setup was like pretty good. It was, good production, good staging, sound guy, tech, all that sort of stuff. And always enjoyed playing the breweries probably more than I did drinking their beer.
Hey, I want to listen to one of your songs. That way, the folks can kind of hear your sound. Out of the three that you sent me, pick one of them for I don't know, just pick one of them. I listened to all three of them, before, but you know them better than I do. Which one would be good for right now?
Let's there's this tune called Songfield by Cranford Hollow. We were kind of talking about Cranford Hollow. We can kick it off of that.
Okay. Let's take a listen to it, and then we'll. Or do you want to talk about it first, or you want to talk about it afterwards?
Yeah, this is a cool thing. A different song, like more outside of our sort of sound or range. And this is off our fifth record, Color, Sound, Renew, Revive. This whole thing was recorded at Studio in the Clouds, which is at 13,000 feet up in the San Juan Mountains in the mesa above the Hastings Mesa, which is above Telluride, Colorado. Wow. And this is the second record that we spent time out there for. And my friend Preston and I engineered and produced it. And we got so fortunate with this thing. Just an insane studio setup at the top of a mountain, a world-class studio. It's a beautiful, big open wooden room with high ceilings and a huge mic locker and pretty decent outboard rack of, everything you basically need to make a cool sounding record. And then we get to stay out there for a couple of weeks while we did it. We usually did it in the wintertime. So just kind of a neat vibe, all in to put your headspace on. Like, I remember tracking some of these parts and there being like bobcats or something like kind of playing down in the snow below the studio, like out the window, and the studio had this huge husky dog named Nala. And she looked like a big wolf, and just being up there on the mesa and down there, it's really dry. You're in a desert, you think, oh, it's snowing and it's
That's what
wet.
I was picturing snow. Yeah.
But it's snow, but it's like, it's super dry and like this kind of like looks like, well, if you've seen Django, they filmed a lot of like the winter scenes in Django in and around Telluride, I believe.
Oh, okay.
So that's kind of like how it looks. It's kind of like deserty, but kind of wintry. It's just neat. It was a totally different, crazy experience, and the intro of this song kind of like paints this picture of like this mesa and this like open mountains with their snowy peaks, and it's really cool.
And bobcats.
Frolicking in the snow or whatever they were.
Frolicking. That's
frolicking.
Well, let's take a listen to Songfield and by Cranford Hall.
and plans are laid. Songfield's back to stay. It's a battle plan. The way she throws away the day, forgetting all I had to say. She's losing everything. Songfield goes away. Songfield faded out of gray. Worse and words had their way. Shitty ropes tend to fray. Songfield holds the rage. the sun is bleeding in the trees, in the darkness hovers one more time, closing in. I'm home, get in. With you, with you, with you, with you. Closing in, I'm home, get in. Brush your souls forevermore. With you, closing in, I'm home, get in. Brush your souls forevermore. With you, closing in, I'm home, get in. Brush your souls forevermore. With you, closing in, I'm home, get in. Brush your souls forevermore. With you, closing in, I'm home, get in. Brush your souls forevermore. With you.
That's terrific.
Thanks, man.
It's very I'd have to go back and like read the lyrics, but it's kind of like inspiring, I guess. I don't know. Is that the right word I'm thinking of, or maybe not inspiring? You know what I mean? It's a feel good kind of song. You feel great.
Yeah, it's like an ethereal kind of
You can kind of feel what you guys
all the
were
goodness
thinking.
out there in the ether. I mean, I think that song to me represents like being in love with my wife and being to a point of being out there on the road. Well, she wasn't my wife at the time, but kind of like, hey, I want to maybe not do this anymore because I like hanging out with you. In a really really basic translation.
Yeah.
I think that tune is, it's like, man, I wouldn't trade the time that we had out there on the road for anything in the world. We had so much fun and got to do so much and meet people and play places and share our music with a ton of people.
Oh, yeah.
Which is that's the foundation. But as the years went on, the foundation of that simple belief that, hey, our job out here is to share the music with people, that started to change a little bit. And the party started to, the percentage of the necessity of the party became more of a percentage than the necessity of, hey, we're out here to like play our music for people. And that was a hard thing to like, suck it up and just be like, well, if this part of it is never going to improve, then like I don't want to do it. And I'm not saying like I'm not against partying or drinking or whatever else. That's not why I was out there, and I think other people in the organization, that was that started to be their drive more than the music.
Yeah.
And it started to show, and I think there was like some growth that happened really fast for some of us, and when we got serious and we started writing like more serious tunes, and then on top of it, writing and recording, in studios and spending money and making this investment and having this like small business end of things, there started to be decisions made or actions taken that would like deter from the purpose of, hey, we're out here to share our music, not get so drunk all the time.
How many different states have you played in? have you
We
played?
played in 39 states.
Couldn't do like another like 11 more.
Yeah, you know, we never hit the West Coast and we never
Yeah.
hit the Northeast.
Yeah.
And
Well,
so I don't know which I'm like more torn. It would have been, we had some shows booked in New York and Philly, and they never, we kind of tossed in the towel before those happened. And we never made it more. I think the most west we ever were somewhere in Montana, somewhere
somewhere in Montana.
maybe like Billing. And I don't know. I can't do it without a map. My brother Eric, who plays fiddle, he's not really my brother, but I love him like a brother.
Right.
He's in Cranford Hollow, and he is like a map memory. He can visualize the entire United States, all 48 continental states and where their capitals are, like in his head. And then
Has he
now
been to
all the
him, or
highways.
just he has that kind of memory?
He's just got the kind of like 20/20 memory.
You know, I'm not good with numbers, like math or anything, but I can remember numbers. Like I had a combination lock on my outdoor shed for the longest time. I have a key now, but and I never had to write it down because I can remember it. Like my Wi-Fi password is one of those ones that you can't change. It's just a bunch of letters and numbers. I remember that. You know, I don't even use it that much because I mean I'm already on it. So, but
I
it's
have pretty
crazy.
bad information retention, but I like gizmos. You know, I like gear. I like pedals and keyboards and interfaces and preamps, and so
I bought a pedal the other day.
I have good gear retention as far as like, hey, how do I use this? Hey, the 360 looper, that thing's awesome.
Yeah, I bought this the other day or a couple weeks ago, and I've never used a pedal. I play acoustic. I got my guitar right there.
We had Cranford Hollow had this record. It was like our first self-titled or our first effort after we changed our name, so we just called it Cranford Hollow.
Mm-hmm.
And on that record, there was all kinds of crazy sounds. There was kind of nature sounds happening, and gators snarling in the swamp, and the cicadas, and things that we had rainstorm stuff. Our producer at the time, Greg Critchley, and I had recorded together, and he gave me all the stems, and I put them on one of those 360 pedals, and like would play them in between songs.
That's awesome.
Then I got smart, and I got a laptop.
Everything at once. Is that what you're saying?
Well, like, you know, certain songs like drone out with like a forest sound or the intro would be like a swampy thing. And so I had all those interludes, those like Foley interludes on that 360 pedal. It was really cool, man.
Yeah, that thing's it's not complicated to understand, but looping, like, because I've always wanted to learn how to loop. I mean, and that happens a lot in Hilton Head too, because you know, it's hard to get a full band to come and play, like, especially if you're playing like every day, like at a resort or whatever. You know, you just start a beat on your guitar and then start something else and then start. And that thing's great for that. I've been watching this guy on YouTube. He's been teaching me. He doesn't know he's teaching me, but he is. But he's
it's just that count, man. You got to get that. I don't
loop.
loop.
It's like driving a clutch. You know, you have to just know that spot. You know.
Yeah, you know, and I've played with the looping thing before. And I think it's, man, there's some guys down here that are so good at looping that.
Oh yeah.
It's like, what are you doing? And some of them use like a MIDI thing, so their guitar sounds like a keyboard or a saxophone or something crazy. But lately, man, I've been kind of using a drone pedal. Electro Harmonics makes this thing called a freeze, and so then I'll like put my reverb or my delay pedal with like a shimmer effect, and I'll like play the chord of the song. And this freeze pedals like just samples like 0.04 milliseconds of a sound. So it just goes, woo, you know, or whatever. And so what I've been doing is I'll like kind of make this lush chord, and then I'm playing finger style now, and I have a pog pedal underneath that, so it octaves an octave lower. So I kind of have this bass thing like going with my thumb, and then the finger picking thing, and then this like really lush layer of sound. And that's kind of like, you know, talking about music or talking about gear, that's really something I've always really been into, is like kind of creating an environment inside of a song, a recorded song and a live song. But really like giving a listener or somebody world that the song lives in. And I think that's so important to, like, you know, whether you're painting or you're a songwriter or you're a potter or you're a, or, yeah, I mean, I like, yeah, sure, drywalling, you know, that's more of like a trade than an art, I guess, but like a creative, a pursuit of creativity, it's important to like build that world within whatever it is you're creating, and translate whatever's in your head or where you've come from or your space.
Well, I mean,
You know, I
after
think
you
that
described Songfield, it kind of put me in that space listening to it, you know, it put me, and that's basically what you're saying in, you know, hey, I want to listen to another song.
okay.
I don't like, we have a lot to talk about, and, you know, not so much time, and, you know, I want to hear another one. Let's see, we got Bevel and Strange Times. I did listen to Strange Times before you sent me the 3.
Yeah, let's listen to that. That's a tune I did with my friend Kyle Wareham.
I know him. Yeah, he's a good guy.
He's a really, really good dude. He's a great producer. He was in this band for a while called Three-Legged Fox.
That's right.
They're out of Philly. They had some really good success, and you know, have a lot of fans out there, and they put out a lot of records. And Kyle is just a really cool dude, really knowledgeable when it comes to recording and songwriting. And it's interesting. I mentioned the first guy that made a record with us called Greg Critchley, and he's got a studio, and Kyle has a studio, and I have a studio, all at our houses. And they're not just like, you know, oh, we like threw a computer and a microphone, you know, in like the closet. They're like built out, proper, soundproofed, real studios. And Greg and Kyle and I all live within about 2 miles of each other, basically off of Marshland Road, which like cuts the island in half.
Yeah.
So you can start at my house and like drive 2 miles, and there's 3 studios putting out a majority of the music that comes out of Hilton Head within like this very small area.
Not that there's together and see who has the better recording.
Kyle's probably got the best setup, or he's got like some good analog outboard gear. He's got some good mics. Greg has some good mics too, but Greg's like super efficient. He's crazy efficient. And he's a great drummer. He's a kind of a drummer first and a producer second, but he has probably the best, you know, drum studio setup in the area, as far as he gets a great drum sound. And Kyle really succeeds at kind of doing the not faking it. I do a lot of faking it. You know, I create stuff on synths and looping stuff through stuff. And Kyle, you know, he plays a lot of his thing, and he's got great miking technique, and he you know, includes a plethora of instruments on some of his stuff. He just did this record with this really talented dude from Beaufort, South Carolina. His name's Campfire Tyler.
I know that guy. He's going to be on the show probably in July sometime.
Yeah, Campfire is fantastic. And Campfire had this record, and, you know, there's banjo on it, and there's lots of guitar and really well recorded acoustic guitar and vocals. And that's a tough thing to do. You know, recording is not easy. It's not something that you know, buy a Mac and get on GarageBand, and you certainly can.
That's what I do. I don't use GarageBand. I use BandLab, but yeah.
You know, you could get a software program that records, whether it's free or cost $5 million. Right. And you can make a great record, but it's the time it takes to learn about your equipment, to learn about your process, to learn the techniques. There's a lot to it.
And if it's going to sound good, I mean, yeah, there's just so much. I mean, because even if it sounds good to you in the room, doesn't mean it's going to sound good on the recording. You know?
Exactly. Yeah, that's a big change that is very important always. You know, where your monitor placement is, having good monitors, listening to your songs. You know, even if you're recording something on your phone,
right? Yeah.
You know, take the time to like play the verse, kind of listen back. Oh, maybe if I put it over here, or I put this closer to the guitar, and this further away from. I'm singing loud, so my voice, it doesn't matter what you're recording. There's always probably something you can do to enhance the recording.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what kind of equipment you have. You could have all the equipment in the world, or you could have nothing at all. And it doesn't mean you're going to make a good record,
Well, we'll see how good Strange Times sounds. So Kyle recorded this?
Yeah, this was all recorded at my studio and at Kyle's studio, and primarily here. And then the string section and the vocals, I believe, were all recorded at Kyle's. And then our good buddy Yanni Reinecke, who played guitar in Cranford Hollow.
His name's Yanni?
Yanni, yeah, he's
like the Yanni that's famous. Yanni, isn't it?
Yeah, but Yanni, his name is actually spelled like Jan, like kind of a I guess, is that Dutch, like Jann, or like
okay, yeah,
Norwegian-y, kind of Scandinavian.
Yanni, so yeah, that's.
But he spells it now Yannie.
Well, yeah, I mean.
But his real spelling is like Jann.
Well, he doesn't want people call him Janny, probably, or John.
Yeah, on tour he would always be pissed because, like, you go to Hardee's or whatever and order your Frisco burger, and they'd be like, Jan, your burger's ready.
Or Starbucks and get your coffee, and they write Jan on the cup.
Yeah. So,
hey,
check it out. This is Strange Times, and this is kind of like our pandemic anthem.
Pandemic jam. Yeah, let's listen to this, and then we'll talk some theater, some Coligny theater stuff.
Cool.
I always wanted to be free. I never had the time to be. Maybe in the end it's what we need. These afternoons with family. There's folks that live right down my street. I figured I would never meet. Now I see their faces and know their names. I'm grateful. Oh, it's ash to ash and dust to dust. This too shall pass, then it's up to us. Nothing lasts forever. We'll be back together, but for now, everybody come inside. It's a strange time to be alive, but we'll be alright. Everybody come inside. It's a strange time to be alive, but we'll be alright. Things get lost when we're on our own. With no contact, eyes glued to a cell phone. Seeing it coming for 10 years strong. I didn't want to say this could last long. Something's gonna change without reason. 'Tis the season for another treason. Seems like no one cares but you and me. I'm hoping we find some humility. A worldwide abnormality with a melody. Except the tone is so damn sad. And I'm glad you're mad. And I'm glad you're mad. Unless you're all at home with the TV on. It's time for new steps, new stretch, new chicks. Hope you see the song for the singer. One more pre-packed media thriller. Everybody come inside. It's a strange time to be alive, but we'll be alright. Everybody come inside. It's a strange time to be alive, but we'll be alright.
that's what synth sound in there. Yeah, that sounds
It's
like
a
some of my
Juno.
stuff. It sounds like some of my stuff, but there'd be a beat going like, you know,
Well, I love electronic music, and
it's fun.
I'm not maybe able to utilize it as much. Well, I mean, I guess now I'm utilizing it a lot more. I think that was like the evolution was Cranford and Sons or Cranford Hollow's like very first studio effort, which is now called Crescent Beach Sessions,
It
was
changed
done
again.
to well, it was the name of the record
Oh,
was Cranford and Sons Crescent Beach Sessions. And it was all done to like 2-inch tape, and it sounded like a punk rock band with a fiddle. So we did 3 more records down at this place called Retrophonic Studios in St. Augustine, Florida. It's
I read about that.
actually
Yeah.
in Crescent Beach, Florida. It's really, really cool. And it's owned by this dude, Jim DeVito, who's kind of become like my Gandalf or my Dumbledore kind of guy. As far as recording goes,
Right.
he's a wizard. He's so cool. He's like sweetest, coolest dude. I just like, I love him like a cool uncle. And Jimmy's got all this stuff. I mean, he's got lots of gear in a big room, and he's knows how to use everything and turn it on. And so we went down there, and did the first record, and it was like real straightforward. And I think there was like maybe an organ on one song or something. But he, I'm making this record. We're there for a couple of weeks. Then we go back and make another record there. And that record maybe had a couple more elements, maybe a piano or either a Roland Space Echo. I don't know if you've ever seen one of those. They're like these huge, that's actually a tape. And the tape is a constant loop. And depending on how far or far or close the tape heads are, determines the millisecond delay of the repetition of the initial like delay sound. It's basically a big delay pedal. It's an analog delay pedal.
Okay.
But starting to be able to use some of this equipment. So like, I'm making these records and I'm making these records and I'm making these records, and I keep looking at all this stuff and looking at all this stuff. And I'm like, man, I want to use that. And what does that thing do? And I know what that thing sounds like. And I know. So now over time, I did my solo record at Jimmy's. Cranford Hollow did 3 records there. And then I've been there like 2 other times independently for another project. In fact, I'm working on like a new kind of like a hard rock project here, real straight ahead, kind of not quite heavy metal, but a hard rock record with Randy Rockalot and this guy named C.W. Jameson. So now I can walk into this place that's not obviously, not mine, but all this gear and all this equipment that I've used now over time, over all these records, I slowly got to, tinker with all this stuff.
Them, right?
Yeah. And I mean, that's really, it's just like being a kid in like a big toy store or a candy store. It's what does this do? And what does this do? And how what does this sound
like?
So there's like all these infinite opportunities, but I finally bought a Roland Juno keyboard, which has that like classic 80s synth, arpeggiated synth.
You can't copy on a new machine or a computer.
Yeah, it just doesn't sound the same. And like to have the control, your velocity and your resonance and your cutoff and stuff, and like to be able to control that stuff. I live in a digital world, but if I ever won the lottery, I would live in an analog world because I can't afford like the real equipment that a lot of these like great records were made. And I like Brian Eno and everybody like kind of like Pink Floyd or stuff like that. But there's a lot of cool bands that I grew up listening to that did that thing, that like painted that world, or created that real tonal environment. And man, that's like the one thing I keep doing it more and more. And now I got a new project coming out here in the next few months that I keep saying is coming out, and I keep working on it more and more. It's called Highway 40. Okay. And I just did a kind of a release show where I performed the 8 songs live at Roasting Room in Bluffton, which is like one of the best nicest venues in the Southeast, but I wanted to like play some of the tunes, just to hear how they sounded live in front of an audience. And that's like that's this whole record is just noises. I mean,
show? I haven't been in the roasting room yet, but
it was really cool, man. I think like a couple of the tunes maybe weren't ready to be premiered, as far as like I wasn't quite comfortable, but like 4 or 5 of the tunes felt really great. And then I played a couple tunes after the set break, some of this older stuff. I played the song Bevel. My friend Jevin Daly, who played guitar on Bevel on the record, and then played violin with me live at the roasting room. He's just a killer guy, really, really good. He did all the strings part for the last songs we listened to, called Strange Times. And that's the game now. I'm really into like huge amounts of sound, huge layers of sound, different things happening, lots of sounds. And my wife makes me laugh because she's always like, yeah, it sounds like you. It sounds weird. It sounds a bunch of weird sounds. I was like, well, good. That's what complimentary.
Mm-hmm.
But now I'm kind of like burnt out. I think like the next record I make is going to be like me and a piano and like a mic on the piano and a mic on my vocals and like a old 90s 2-track tape recorder. Because I'm just like, I'm over it. I'm so over
vintage nowadays.
I'm over tinkering.
Let's before we listen to Bevel, because I did want to listen to that one too. Did you buy the Cleany Theater? I know I read something in one of the magazines that with your article in it, but I read the history. I didn't know that there was that much history with the theater. I just knew it was there because of Cleany and everything. But
so I don't own the theater. That's owned by a guy named J.R. Richardson, and his family built that theater and most of that area down there, Coligny Plaza, in 1968, 69.
It probably wasn't as busy as it is.
No, that was like it. That was the only thing in town, was like that movie theater. There were a couple of little shops and restaurants, and then the Piggly Wiggly.
Yeah.
And that was it. Like, that was it, and his folks built and developed this shopping plaza, and they've done a lot for the Hilton Head community. And JR and his wife continue to be a big benefit to our little scene down here. And so what they've kind of allowed me to do, I get essentially to do whatever I want in the room under the guise of
they trust
it's a positive thing for the plaza. It's a positive thing for the community. We're available as a community room.
You do some charity things too. I read.
We do a lot of charity work. And in turn, I get to keep all my crap there and keep my live sound production there. And my buddy John Dowbing, he's the light engineer, and he has all his stuff there. And, they do show some movies, and my business partner, Matt Stock, he programs this kind of like cool 80s repertory matinee, throwback, which we're so lucky even after COVID to have people attending movies. But there's nothing better on a rainy, hot day in Hilton Head than to go sit in a cold movie theater and drink a cold beer.
Keep the kids busy, right?
Yeah, and the kids are stoked, and you can, if you're dad, you can take a nap, or if you're mom, you got a minute to yourself, So it works for the tourists. The locals like it because we do, Jason 3 and 3D, or we'll do the Goonies, or
you got a big screen in there and everything. I mean, it's
like a legit movie theater.
And popcorn.
So,
I did see that though. You have popcorn also.
We have hot popcorn. We have soda, and we have beer and wine. Like, that's
my mom
it.
will be happy with the popcorn. She's a popcorn person. She's watching the show.
Yeah.
She did comment on your the first song. She said that's a great song. Or on the last song we played. She said that's a great song.
Well, they'll have to come and see a movie or see a show at the theater. And I've been involved there now for almost 4 years, and I managed, I was the day-to-day kind of general manager. And it's a lot of responsibility. There's a lot of work to do. The movie industry is more corrupt than the music industry is, as far as our dealings with Hollywood and the amount they charge for movies, and that is changing because of COVID. Maybe for the better, that there's more opportunities now, and they want people to get back in theaters and spend their money and buy that popcorn and get out and see a flick. And movies are a big part of my life too, but I got to the point where I was like, man, anytime something goes wrong, I got to be down there. And so I kind of stepped away from the general manager position. Now Matt Stock works there. We have like basically 4 employees. There's myself and my wife Lindsay, who is our kind of like events coordinator, and she works the door and she handles the tickets and the money and that sort of thing. Matt books the movies, and he's kind of day-to-day operations. And then actually Ben, Huey's younger sister Amy, is kind of our only employee. So it's like a cool small little 4-person team. We have a lot of help from the people that own the theater and the Coligny Plaza folks that run the plaza.
And it's
really
right
good
there,
team.
isn't it? Isn't it that circular building?
Yeah,
right? Yeah,
it's right in the center of the plaza. So there's maybe 20 restaurants or food places within that little region, and 50 or 60 stores and bars and everything you could imagine, and tons of stuff to do. And they have a great music lineup outside of the plaza throughout the whole theater, throughout the whole plaza outside of the theater. There's 6 or 7 bars and restaurants. I mean, I walked down during like last August during COVID, when half the country was like shut down, and there was like 7 people or acts, whether bands or single solo individuals, playing live music. And I was like, wow, we're really fortunate. We're really lucky to be down here.
Right. Hey, I don't know why it's not working, but we had a question from Jim Bizzuto.
Yeah,
hopefully
Uncle
I'm saying that
Jim.
right. He said, any new Cranford Hollow songs in the crystal ball?
There is a new Cranford Hollow song that should be out this summer. We're going to play a show on July 4th. So the goal is that we will have it done by then. Yanni played on it. Eric played on it. I kind of produced and put all the pieces together, and then Phil wrote the lyrics. Randy did not play drums on it. However, Mr. John Ruxin, who's a great percussionist from Hilton Head, played on the tune as far as the drumming and the percussion. But I just received the lyrics a few weeks ago from Phil, who wrote the lyrics, and I'm going to put those kind of down. I call them, put them in the can, or singing in the can. You get into the mic and get up there and do it. So as soon as that happens, we should have something new out.
Well, you got to float it to me when you get a chance, and come back on the show, premiere it or something like that.
Absolutely, man.
I could sit and talk to you for hours about just everything, Hilton Head and just stuff. I mean, because going to Hilton Head, pretty much as I'm growing up, and and just being down there, just hanging out and stuff. There's a lot of things I didn't know, but those who haven't been there, you got to go. I mean, you just have to go experience Hilton Head.
I never thought I was gonna live here. I moved. In my previous life, I was in the food and beverage industry. I was a chef. I've been working in the Midwest. I had a couple of good jobs up there, and those jobs provided me an opportunity down here at the Sapphire Grill, which is in Savannah, Georgia. It's no longer there, but it was at the time. And I love Southern food, so that sort of made sense. Well, my mom's on Hilton Head, and I'm going to move to Savannah and cook. And I really love Savannah. Is one of my favorite cities. And I loved it. And then I realized, oh man, on Hilton Head, you can get paid money playing music. So kind of like dusted off the old guitar and kind of pursued that. And within a few years of doing that, that's when, Cranford Hollow started, and we got really serious, and sort of the rest is the rest. But Hilton Head is a cool place. I didn't think I would be here. I don't know if I'll be here forever.
Oh yeah, you will. You're stuck now.
I would like to
it sounds like.
Well, kind of the retirement plan is like buy a shitty bar in northern Wisconsin. That's kind of my.
You can always go back.
I don't know if my wife's on board with that, but like
you get some time to think about.
I'm stoked.
Let's take a listen to Bevel before we wrap up, because
Yeah.
I got to hear another song. So quickly, well, not quickly, just a little bit about this one before we play it.
Yeah, this is off my solo effort. This is all done at Jim DeVito's studio in St. Augustine, Crescent Beach area, called Retrophonics. Jevin Daly played the guitar on it. Dave Kimball, who's in the Hilton Head Symphony Orchestra, played cello. I did all of the other stuff, and Jim DeVito programmed this thing called Lindrum, which was invented by is it Roger Lynn from Electric Light Orchestra? Anyways, it's like one of the first drum machines in the 70s. What's the It's a Nice Day for a White Wedding. That song
I was wanting you to play. I was wanting you to play at least one song, but maybe
that
next time,
dude
right?
has like this Lindrum on it, and then like Tom Petty's Don't Come Around Here No More, that has a Lindrum. So it has this like classic like 80s percussive thing happening on that whole record. And then my friend John Ruxin also did like some percussion on top. So it's a unique lineup of like strings, electric guitars, noises, 80s drum machines, and like
terrific.
Irish hand drums. It's wild.
Let's take a listen to that.
Yeah, we'll take a listen.
Bevel.
So small, the floor fell out, my back's against the wall, but the phone is far from fear, so far from fear, it's gone. And it's the blood, it's the bevel, it's the dirt against the shovel, and it's the blood, it's the bevel, it's the dirt against the shovel. Deep, my arms thick on acreage, but my reach is far from good, so far from good, it's gone. And it's the blood, it's the bevel, it's the dirt against the shovel. It's the blood, it's the bevel, it's the dirt against the shovel. it's the blood, it's the bevel, it's the dirt against the shovel. And it's the blood, it's the bevel, it's the dirt against the shovel.
That's it.
That's great. I'm gonna have to listen to that whole album. That's
It's cool, man. It was a different. It was like my first big studio project that I had a budget for by myself, and it was kind of like, okay, I can play most of this stuff, but I cannot play the drums. How do I accomplish that? So that's where we used this drum machine, and it was a really cool experience.
Hey, I don't know how I forgot this at the beginning. I forgot to thank the previous guest, but so I got to make sure I do that. I had Kyolo on. There are a couple guys out of Morgantown, and they were on last episode. Some really cool stuff. They tricked me and said that Tony Hawk was in their new video, but he was just making fun of the other guy and he was skateboarding and stuff. But really good guys, really cool music. Kind of like it was kind of islandy. That's what we were all talking about it, and it's got an islandy feel. Their new song, Sunshine. It's got like waves and seagulls at the beginning, and then it starts. It's pretty cool. But they're really short songs. They're like 2 minutes or something. But they're still kind of in the early stages of forming their sound and stuff. So I look forward to hearing more from them. Another thing that I just added it to the Facebook, I guess the fundraising thing. It's basically the GoFundMe of Facebook, because I started a GoFundMe for the band I had on from Finland, Rats Will Feast. Really cool bunch of guys. There's 4 of them, and I came up with an idea. Let's bring him over to the United States from Finland. Do a couple of shows. I'm not even including that in the fundraising funds. The money that I want to raise is just to get them, airfare over to here and back, just round trip. It's about $10,000 for 4 guys, which really isn't that bad. You would think it'd be a lot more than that, So that there's a GoFundMe for that, and there's also excuse me, there's also the new Facebook fundraising thing that I did the other night. I don't even know if it's up. It says it's up. They sent me an email and said it was active, but I don't know. So that's up. If you can donate $1, that'd be awesome. If we get 10,000 people to donate $1, guess what? We did it. I don't know, but so check that out and share it and stuff if you can. And then I just heard from a couple of guys. I have my electronic stuff's up on SoundCloud. It's free. It's free to join and listen to stuff. They have mainstream stuff on there too. I don't know if you probably heard of them, haven't you, John? SoundCloud. But these guys started following me. I'm like, following me? Why would they? My stuff's not that. It's not even professionally like recorded. It's going through an iRig into my Mac. But they're called Lucky Jesus. They're from Brazil, or they live in Rio de Janeiro, and they just said let's set a date. So I'm thinking I just asked them maybe the 6th. Shoot for the 6th. So look out for that. So that'll be a Brazilian podcast. Well, actually, it won't be Brazilian. I don't know how that works. But so we did Finland, and now we're going to go to Brazil. And then there's another band called Brightstorm that I talked to some of them today. But we're going to need a translator for that one, I guess. I don't know Spanish. Do you know Spanish, John?
I know, like
being on Hilton Head, you'd think you'd have to know a little bit of Spanish.
I know Kitchenese.
Kitchenese, yeah. Everybody knows that one. I know that one.
That's like some light Spanish cook speak, but
yeah.
I wish I would have gave a shit a little bit more about like really dialing in a language.
I took French in high school. I don't know any of it.
I'd really like to learn Japanese. I really want to go to Japan.
That'd be cool.
That's like on my list. Maybe from like my 40th birthday adventure.
Where'd you guys go for your honeymoon? Did you take a trip?
We went to New Orleans.
Should have went to Japan.
We should have not had a big wedding and spent all that money and just gone to Japan for like a month.
Yeah.
Now we went to New Orleans. It was fantastic. That's
cool
probably my second or third favorite city in the U.S.
I was only about 12 or 13 when we went, so I didn't get to experience.
Oh man!
But the beignets I did. I experienced those.
It's another, those beignets call my name. Sometimes they call my name so far out. I'm like driving down I-10 and I take a 2-hour detour just to hit Cafe Du Monde at about 4 in the morning. I've been known to do that.
That place is.
Yeah, it's New Orleans is a cool town. Savannah's a cool town.
I haven't been to
Hilton
Savannah
Head's a
as many
pretty
times
cool
as I've been to
town.
Hilton Head. I still haven't gone to Savannah. I want to do the
Well,
ghost
let's
tour. I
go.
think the ghost tour would be fun.
Next time you're down, I'm taking you.
Yeah, and we got to play a show or do something like that.
I'll take you to one of my favorite bars in the South, Pinky Masters, the original Pinky Masters.
It sounds exciting. Is it supposed to sound, well, I guess not the name, but is it supposed to sound exciting? I'll just wait.
Like
I'll just wait and go.
Tiny little dive bar.
Those are the best places.
But it's old school.
Those are the best places. Yeah. Hey, John, thanks so much for coming on the show.
God, thanks for having me, man.
Next time you got to play some music or bring the band or something and set them up in that studio and let's hear it live.
Yeah, we need to figure it out. He's like, I've done a lot of live streaming, but the only way I know how to do it is like into my Mevo, which is another live streaming camera gizmo.
Well, maybe when I come down, I'm going to wait until probably October when it cools down a little bit down there. Not a lot, but when it cools down a little bit. October's nice down there actually, but that's probably around the time I'll come down and we'll do a show from right there where you're sitting.
Yeah, man, or we could do one in the theater too.
Yeah, that would be fun. That would be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do 2 shows. We'll do one in the city. We'll do 5 shows. That's what I was trying to do in January when I was down there. I was like, well, I'll just take my stuff. Because at the time I didn't even have my MacBook at the time. I just had my iPad, which I use for my monitor now. But I had that and this like boosting microphone was supposed to be that I got from Walmart. It was like a podcasting package. So it was like this microphone and it worked okay, but so I took that out to Corks and but I didn't interview anybody. I just kind of did nothing.
We'll set it up, man, for real. When you know you're coming and you know your dates, we'll get it locked.
Trying to get Cameron Tate to come on. He's back and of course Campfire. We got to get him on. He's got a new album coming out on 6/9, right? So it came out yesterday.
Campfire just came out yesterday. And then Campfire and I have a little surprise coming out tomorrow, possibly on the Board and Dairy social media pages. I don't know if you're familiar with Board and Dairy.
Send me that.
Well, Board and Dairy is out of Texas, and they make one of the best, finest chocolate milks in all the land.
It's got a cow on the label, right?
It's got a cow on the label. And Campfire wrote this. Campfire wrote this chocolate milk song about Board and Dairy, and he got in touch with some of their PR people, and they're going to premiere it, I think, tomorrow or sometime this weekend.
Yeah, I'll look that up.
And I shot the video and I recorded the song, so it's fun.
Awesome. Yeah.
If
I get Campfire on the show, I had a guy on a few months ago. His name was he goes by Barefoot, so I have Barefoot and Campfire.
Perfect.
They could do it like a show together. That'd be terrific. I should be a marketing person for shows.
Well, thanks so much for having me, man.
Yeah, man.
And
if you can stick around for a little bit after I get kill the Facebook feed, but so I can chat with you a little bit. But let's see. I'm trying. Oh, am I forgetting anything? I don't think I am. Anyway, everything will be up on the page. I got a full month, full into July, and then or June. I mean, see, I don't even know what month it is. That's what's crazy. But it's fun. I love doing this and being able to talk to people like you and seeing what everybody else is up to in different parts of the world now. I mean, I did Finland. I'm going to Brazil. I've been chatting with a band from Paris. They're like a bluesy kind of thing. So we'll see what happens with that. Hey, next Tuesday will be the next show, and Dale will be back. No, actually, no, he won't be back. He's got a comedy show. He bought tickets for a comedy show, so I thought this was the comedy show. Not really. Thanks for laughing, John. Anyway, Atticus Finch from New York, Herkimer, New York, is kind of it's near Albany area. Really, really cool guys, and I can't wait to have them. They're going to be on Tuesday, so I'm going to end the episode on a one of their songs called "Crashed and Burnt." And so join us next Tuesday at 8:00, and we'll see you then.
my fire escape. It's the only place in the world I feel safe. I've got this view from my fire escape. It's the only place in the world I relate. And I watch this view from my fire escape. It's the only place in the world I feel safe. I've got this view from my fire escape. It's the only place in the world I relate. Try to search me deep, I'll have no answers to show. Do I look in the mirror? Do I look out the window? You don't know me, don't ask me what I'm feeling. Just let me be, you don't know where I'm looking. Try to search me deep, I'll have no answers to show. Do I look in the mirror? Do I look out the window? You don't know this view, don't ask me what I'm feeling. Just let me be, you don't know where I'm looking.
You hear me? I took
Yeah,
my,
man.
my there we go. Okay. All right. Cool.
Well, thanks for having me on, dude. That was cool.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you coming on the show. That was fun. Making sure everything's okay. Turn that.